Story 1. A second set of adult teeth comes in during your 40s when the previous ones begin to show signs of wear. Story 2. A more sturdy spine is crucial. It is often fragile, and once it is damaged, you may experience pain for the rest of your life. Story 3. An option to have children when you are ready. No more suffering for a week, a month, or for years. A sleep mode would be beneficial. Improved dental health that lasts throughout our lifetime. In fact, stronger bodies so that bones and joints do not deteriorate decades before we pass away. Volume controls for our hearing. Story 4. 1. Turn the retina over so the nerves and blood vessels are positioned under the light sensors, instead of between them and the pupil. 2. Separate the waste disposal system from the reproductive system. 3. Separate the solid and liquid intake from the gaseous intake. 4. Women cannot become pregnant if they do not experience orgasm. Story 5. A tail that can stiffen to act as a stool you can lean on when your feet are tired from standing too long. Similar to Dwight's hidden chair from that office cold open. Story 6. The ability to stop and start hair growth allows for versatility in hairstyles. One can wear a bob one day and have long locks the next day. Additionally, there is no need for waxing anymore. Story 7. It is challenging to address our issues without eliminating the bipedalism problem. Bipedalism is quite useful. However, I think I will make it more complicated by adding feathers and intricate avian mating displays along with a song component. Story 8. Retractable vaginal teeth are here. If something feels uncomfortable, there's no need to worry anymore. This innovative feature has a discrete design that won't interfere with function while also providing self-defense capabilities when necessary. Story 9. I'm fixing our knees. They are poorly designed and prone to injury. Prepare for shock-absorbing legs. Story 10. Stool is expelled in a hard casing, similar to a chicken egg, which prevents odor, is non-sticky, and can be easily disposed of. Story 11. Every December 24th, everyone switches sexes from male to female or female to male. Pregnancies continue if applicable. Story 12. The ability to access the subconscious mind by choice and protect that subconscious mind. Story 13. Manual pain override. There was a Jerry Lewis movie that was quite silly, where he portrayed a space alien. The unique concept in the film was that his species did not feel pain. Instead, it registered as a sensation of wetness. This way, they still received a warning signal without experiencing distress. Story 14. Press the belly button to delay the need to use the bathroom for 20 minutes. It is a muscle that can be trained, and some individuals may be able to hold off for hours. Story 15. Rapid regeneration. Damaged tissue recovers like Wolverine from the X-Men, but without Logan's claws or Wade Wilson's skin issues. Story 16. An inoperable fuse activates whenever a person attempts to harm another, immobilizing the aggressor until a doctor intervenes. Story 17. Well, I am reworking the entire female reproductive system so that menstruation and childbirth pain is greatly reduced. Additionally, the expelled fluids will be diminished. It may also be a good idea to find a way to desensitize the brain from hormonal mood changes, as there are many individuals affected by this. Story 18. You can regrow teeth. We can see more light spectra now. Oh, back pain? Gone. You can turn on and off your sense of smell. Sleep is now optional. Memories are now accessible by choice. Story 19. Step 1. A light in the middle of everyone's forehead flashes red when they tell a lie. Step 2. Watch the world burn. There is no step 3. Story 20. It's out there, but full painless skin shedding is like that of snakes. Think how satisfying a deep peel would be, along with a complete wax, manicure, pedicure, removal of blemishes, and treatment for sunburn. This process might be inconvenient for people with work-related calluses, such as guitar players, and those with tattoos may need to refresh their ink sooner, but it makes it easier to eliminate any regret. You asked for something unusual, not well thought out. Yes, okay, I'll return to reptile design. Story 21. I am not familiar with new developments, but the first thing I am doing is redesigning the air intake, which shares the same often faulty diverter valve as the fuel intake. It is a poor design. Story 22. Bumping up healing to 100%, including the ability to heal nerves, regrow teeth, and more, while also installing a guard with a 100% success rate to eliminate cancerous cells before they develop into cancer. Story 23. I'm surprised I haven't seen it yet, but a second stomach for food you don't want to absorb into your body would function like a direct pathway for ice cream and other non-nutritional items. Story 24. The optic nerve should exit the back of the retina, not the front, where it then bundles and travels backward into the back of the eye. This results in a blind spot in everyone's vision, which the brain fills in so that you don't notice it. Story 25. A great question. Regenerative knees. Also, night vision. It's awful how disabled we are as soon as it's dark. Story 26. Fully separated tubes for the air system and food intake, similar to horses and whales. Additionally, an almost arm-length prehensile tail with elephant trunk-like fingers at the end would be a significant advantage. Story 27. I would call it rapid burn mode. In this state, a person can trigger a process to repeatedly expend calories. During this mode, their cognition, physical speed, and strength would significantly increase. However, this comes with risks for those who do not use it wisely or abuse it without the necessary energy. Additionally, a blue aura would surround the body, and the person's eyes and hair would turn blue when in this state. Story 28. Second esophagus. This one bypasses the digestive system and goes right out. You can eat whatever you want without gaining weight or suffering the negative effects of a poor diet. Healthy greens, lean proteins, and nutritious carbohydrates go into the first esophagus. Ice cream, French fries, and fast food go down the second. You get all the pleasure of eating unhealthy foods, but none of the drawbacks. Story 29. I would add a secret door where the navel is. I could eat whatever I wanted and then open the secret door to take it out and put it in the trash. Story 30. All pain sensors saturate after approximately 12 hours of constantly sending pain signals. They reset after a short time if there is no pain signal to send. I understand that pain is important for survival, but I know something is wrong. There is no need to remind me of that for my entire life. Story 31. Eyes at the back of my head. Toddler mom here. Perhaps an extra hand while we are at it. And a super sturdy back. Story 32. You can regrow teeth now. The spine is now correctly shaped. The pelvis is wider, eliminating birth issues and preventing underdevelopment. The jaw is bigger, allowing for less crowded teeth. The retina is correctly placed. Arteries are positioned more securely, making it harder to accidentally bleed out. Story 33. Wheels. Walking can be tiring, and sometimes it would be easier to use wheels. I don't want people to think I'm unusual for having roller skates in my 30s. However, if everyone has wheels, it won't seem strange. Story 34. The ability to eat without gaining weight may involve processing plastics in food that pass through the body without absorption, thereby reducing health risks. Story 35. For my personal benefit, I'm giving us opposable toes. I love grabbing things with my feet and would appreciate an extra set of hands for crafting. I might just want to be a monkey. Story 36. One eye. You probably only need one. A kind of sucking mechanism instead of teeth because they just cause issues in the end. And a long tube positioned far away so I don't have to deal with it. Story 37. Inflatable and deflatable breasts. A retractable penis. A concealable vagina. And a self-lubricating butthole that doesn't smell. I am usually fine with being a man, but sometimes it's nice to mix things up. Story 38. Sinuses are no longer prone to filling up with mucus and infection. However, the skull is also not heavier. We will figure it out. We will also explore solutions for diabetes and allergies. Story 39. Wider hips in women from the beginning or experiencing increased hip width during pregnancy can impact childbirth. Additionally, finding solutions to make childbirth less painful would be beneficial. Story 40. A body that can stretch more and never get tired. Photographic memory for everyone. Body regeneration. Wide peripheral vision. Story 41. A BrainPal computer that you can access anytime has access to the internet and can control any connected device. Smart blood. More oxygen leads to better disease elimination. Green skin, based on chlorophyll like plants, allows us to process sunlight for food. All seamlessly inspired by Old Man's War. Story 42. My first thought is Al Bundy, who wanted a woman to have a third breast on her back so that he had something to hold on to while dancing. Story 43. I once saw an interview with an evolutionary biologist who said it is very unfair that we no longer have whiskers. As for me, I want to experience euphoria on demand without any health risks. Story 44. We will make a few upgrades. First, we need to address the insulin issue that some users experience. We will allow bones to regenerate over time. There will be control over metabolism. Upon reflection, you mentioned that this feature is unusual, so I will proceed with the alternative option. Story 45. No toenails serve a purpose. They require upkeep and often lead to fungal infections. It is best to remove them. Story 46. Optional fertility. The ability for periods to be optional would be amazing. I would also suggest a much sturdier spine or the ability to manually reduce pain for those of us with chronic pain. Story 47. An arm and disarm mechanism for sperm and eggs is triggered by specific body actions. For example, during a consensual moment of intimacy, both partners might gently stimulate each other's ears, similar to starting a motorcycle. The associated sounds are optional, and this action can activate the reproductive process. Ears are just an initial concept and may not be the final mechanism required for procreation. Story 48. Different breathing and eating valves provide a more secure way to prevent food from entering the airway. A barrier prevents a major artery from looping between the airway. Improvements in joint durability have been made. The number of teeth is linked to the genes responsible for jaw size, preventing abnormal tooth growth. Wisdom teeth can no longer grow sideways. The human back is now designed for standing on two legs. Childhood hypermobility does not lead to joint or muscle issues in adulthood. A gene prevents leg and armpit hair growth. The brain maintains its ability to learn throughout adulthood. The immune system no longer attacks the eyes when they are detected. It is comfortable and healthy to sleep in any position without experiencing health issues, aches, or pains. Humans can now loaf comfortably. Allergies are no longer a concern. Additionally, individuals can suddenly gain the ability to download memories accurately to a computer. Psychic powers can be accessed similarly to the way they are portrayed in the Psychonauts universe. There may be potential risks of new cognitive hazards related to these abilities, but the desire for such powers remains strong. Story 49. Interchangeable genitalia. Male, female, neuter, or both. This could make bathrooms a little more complex. Story 50. Male nipples now produce alcoholic milk. The longer you wait to collect it, the higher the proof, and at some point it becomes flammable enough to use as fuel. The challenging aspect of designing this is that ethanol can permeate almost any biological tissue, so this will require considerable effort. Story 51. A second pair of eyes in the back of the head results in the hair in that area stopping its thick growth. These secondary eyes are not as clear as the main eyes in the front, but if you choose, they can remain open at all times, allowing you to be more aware of any danger from behind. If you close your front eyes, the vision from your back eyes becomes slightly clearer. You can also keep your back eyes closed if you prefer, as they have eyelids too. Story 52. Save and restore. Have cancer? Let's turn you off for a while we remove it and find a solution. Story 53. Weird feature, you say? Lungs and brain locations are swapped. The skull can now expand when you breathe in and return to normal size when you breathe out. Story 54. I'm giving you all autism. Who's laughing now? Oh, and a long tail similar to the one from Avatar, the Alien movie. Story 55. A prehensile tail with hair on it is useful because sometimes you need an extra hand. Hair on the tail makes it look more natural. Story 56. Conscious control of when our penises become erect and when they return to a flaccid state. People no longer become overly sensitive to stimulation immediately after an orgasm. No more ectopic pregnancies, endometriosis, or polycystic ovary syndrome for women. Additionally, your menstrual cycle only occurs if you choose to activate it in order to conceive. Story 57. A dedicated breathing tube that is separate from your mouth, preventing choking on objects that may become lodged in your throat. Story 58. Chlorophyll may refer to green skin, green hair, or possibly wing-like appendages that could stretch out like solar panels. A nap in the sun would be refreshing, and it might help reduce the risk of skin cancer. However, I am not a botanist. Story 59. A feedback loop exists between the brain and the eyes, allowing us to filter information in our field of view and add labels. This is essentially an augmented reality system. Story 60. Wings, gills, camouflage, and regenerative powers based on other animals. If I could choose anything without limits, I might not want everyone to have the same abilities. I would choose something that embodies empathy, love, and intelligence. Story 61. A mechanism that causes breast growth only after giving birth and deflates after the lactation period. Story 62. A feature to eliminate cholesterol buildup and plaque from all veins and capillaries, along with an automated blood pressure regulator, is designed to extend the lifespan of all organs. Story 63. Must have been done already. Breathing and eating or drinking through the same tube is just asking for trouble. Story 64. Instant sex change feature. Immunity access panel to turn off allergies or boost your cytotoxic T cells for cancer. Instant sleep mode. Story 65. Axolotl powers include limb and organ regrowth and resistance to cancer. However, external gills may be excessive. Story 66. I vote for an eidetic memory for everyone. No more lost items and easy learning for anything you read once. You could rewatch films and television shows in your head. What's the downside? Some people already have this gift. Where is my brain switch to enable it? Story 67. A 4-foot-long retractable extra limb extends from behind the neck, a fork off the spinal column, with an eyeball at the tip and protective lids. Now I can see around corners, over objects, and behind the desk, providing full 360-degree vision. Story 68. You can close your eyes against unpleasant sights. You should also be able to close your ears to reduce unpleasant sounds. Story 69. A color-changing pigment in a visible area on the head changes color if you are attracted to the person talking to you or looking at you. Story 70. A small red button can be activated by leaning one's chin down onto the chest. When the button is pushed, the person's sexual desire decreases significantly. Story 71. A valve on the vagina, similar to a sphincter, allows for better control of what enters and exits. No more unexpected menstrual flow, whether you are prepared or not. Story 72. Miniaturized second organ sets begin to grow in size or function when the life-sized ones start to fail. Story 73. A gas release valve functions similarly to the release valve on a pressure cooker. You no longer have to wait for gas buildup. You can release it on demand. Story 74. Weird. Let's have the option of a permanent scent through sweat. Like, from now on you will smell of oranges. You can only change it through hormonal treatment. Useful. The ability to download dreams as text files. This overlaps with the weird for many of us, admittedly. Story 75. 1. Balls are protected by an inbuilt cage. Your penis grows to match the vagina it is entering, making size issues irrelevant. Whenever a girl looks at you, you automatically grow to her preferred height. Story 76. I am adding a second throat tube. Whoever designed the food tube and the air tube as the same tube made a mistake. Story 77. How about a built-in system that takes emotional stress and converts it into usable energy, such as powering your brain, muscles, or charging your devices through touch? Stuck in traffic? Your phone's charged to 100%. Nervous before a big presentation? You'll be mentally sharper. It would turn anxiety into a feature instead of a flaw. Story 78. The ability to target fat burning is important. I want to focus on my thighs and buttocks, but I do not want to lose fat from my stomach. Unfortunately, you can either burn fat everywhere or nowhere. Story 79. I have a standard higher metabolic rate. I enjoy eating, especially trying new foods. It would be nice to do this more often without significant weight gain. Story 80. Testicles are located inside the body. It is as if nature designed the reproductive system with care. The body is intricate and amazing, yet the testicles do not function at the same temperature as the rest of the body. Why is the male reproductive system housed in a pouch outside the body? The same question applies to the female menstrual cycle. Couldn't there be a different way? Story 81. 1. Replacing periods with alternatives that serve the same function but are less painful or troublesome. A sturdier skeletal structure, particularly the spine. Story 82. Make the appendix useful. It boosts your immune system significantly. If you are born without one, your immune system may not be terrible, but it is also not that strong. Story 83. The ability to instantly know the location of any object you personally recognize. No more losing valuable items or experiencing theft. Story 84. In practice, the obvious change is to make humans more like marsupials. Birth comes a bit earlier, but newborns continue to develop for a few more months in a pouch structure that grows during pregnancy and is reabsorbed when lactation ends. In theory, I envision a chrysalis feature where every 50 years or so, people bulk up significantly, both muscle and fat, then form a cocoon-like structure within which their body, minus the brain except for a burst of neurogenesis, is completely reformed into a relatively childlike body, though with an oversized head and neck. This concept offers partial immortality if one can avoid or repair DNA damage. Moreover, it provides a practical opportunity for individuals to rejuvenate their lives, taking time to expand and refresh their physical and mental training while the brain adapts to the new body. Other improvements would also be worthwhile, including better regenerative abilities, properly wired eyes, reinforced key parts such as knees and spines, the ability to separate breathing and eating or drinking at will, nostrils that can be manually or automatically closed, the ability to smell water, a magnetoreception sensory organ, endogenous gastrointestinal flora, the endogenous generation of essential chemicals such as vitamins C and D only when they are deficient. Story 85. Ability to regrow any part of the body, including organs with no scar tissue, just perfect regrowth. An immune system that recognizes self and does not require training to identify foreign objects. Story 86. Night mode. Ability to control gravity and magnetism, and sense of planetary gravity from outside Earth. Also, unlimited energy available when needed or not, in various modes including active, normal, and sleep. Story 87. Add a bit of shark DNA so humans regenerate teeth after they fall out. I would ensure that the current status quo for children having baby teeth remains, which then fall out to create their adult teeth. This could work like a genetic switch, allowing children to grow back baby teeth until a specific age, after which they will grow and regenerate their adult teeth. Story 88. Sizing and volume control over body parts allows individuals to look how they wish without the need for approval or assistance from others. Live your life. Story 89. Aspects that reflect the changed circumstances of modern humans compared to our caveman ancestors include anxiety over specific stimuli, which tends to diminish quickly, and a faster response to feeling full in an era where obesity poses a greater risk than malnutrition. Additionally, having an extra, thin set of eyelids like polar bears could be beneficial, as built-in sunglasses would be practical. Story 90. Everyone now has taste receptors on the bottoms of their feet and hands. Shaking hands is now considered unusual and comparable to licking each other's tongues. Story 91. No hair below the neck, except for pubic hair, which is needed as a dry lubricant during intimate activities. Men will have full beards that grow slowly, requiring shaving only monthly. Everyone on Earth will now have a light tan color, round nostrils, round eyes, and very slow-growing straight brown hair. This change will help eliminate a lot of racism. Everyone will be 195 centimeters tall and wear men's size 44 shoes. Everything will be within reach for everyone, and all will be able to buy off the rack. The body will be immune to cancers, malaria, autoimmune diseases, and genetic disorders. Story 92. A hard transition in the brain occurs from the gullible, obedient innocence of childhood to deep cynicism and strong critical thinking skills, beginning around age 7. Story 93. Just one gender, with both male and female reproductive organs, both capable of pregnancy but without menstruation. No anus, but all food and toxins are excreted in the urine, likely resulting in a thicker urethra. There is also a smaller stomach capacity, so we consume only what we need from a vegetarian diet. We can achieve a sense of euphoria through sexual activity and exercise without the use of external drugs. Story 94. The ability to change the body to the opposite sex at will, including secondary sex characteristics. The body would reshape without pain. Story 95. Removing unintentional procreation. Adding healing factors for injuries and cancer but not immortality. Slowing age progression so society perceives individuals as adults by age 40. Extending life to 160 years, with the last 10 years being equivalent to today's age of 60, to prevent a helpless decline. Acknowledging the possibility of raw apathy is important. While I would like to add more concepts, this is a starting point, and I hope humanity can figure out the rest. We have achieved more with less in the past. I hope these advancements serve as a benefit rather than a tool for increased suffering, promoting forced empathy while allowing some apathy when necessary. Story 96. I would move the area away from the playground. The playground should not be that close to the dumpster. Story 97. I am not adding anything new, but I will redesign some existing features. 1. The testes are no longer heat-sensitive and are located inside the body, protected by the pelvic bone. The veins and arteries are now extremely durable and can no longer rupture or create aneurysms. All excess fat is added to the feces and removed that way. This will also improve bowel movements, as the fat can act as a softening agent for constipation and a binding agent for diarrhea. Story 98. A prehensile tail that we can use to scratch that one spot on our back that we cannot reach. Could also come in handy in the bedroom. Story 99. The ability to repel unwanted touch, either through retractable skin covers, similar to how a lizard has a second eyelid, or through a force field, would make consent easier for everyone involved. However, can you imagine not knowing someone was interested in you and discovering that they had not been blocking you from touching them the entire time? Story 100. I won't add anything. I will let it remain the same as it is now. However, I would make some changes to my part. Story 101. I always wondered if women had a way to get pregnant whenever they wanted, without all the precautions. Story 102. Infinite water so you don't have to drink any adult teeth as soon as you come out of the womb, and if you lose a limb, it grows back. Also, a longer life expectancy and, if possible, the ability to live forever. Story 103. Your metabolism is activated by your favorite foods. If you enjoy what you are eating, it helps you stay fit and healthy. Story 104. Allow women more control over reproduction, such as the ability to store a fertilized egg for a certain period without it starting to grow, or to know when they are pregnant and terminate an unwanted pregnancy early. Consider relocating reproductive organs to facilitate a smoother childbirth experience for women. Story 105. I am adding a feature that enhances human attraction. It's like having magnets in their hands, but it's not just north and south. The attraction is more nuanced and genuine, making it feel like two people are a perfect match. They simply click together if they are the right fit for each other. Story 106. Anti-aging gene jellyfish must begin, as jellyfish are immortal in the sense that they will never die of old age. Story 107. The ability of neurons to undergo mitosis at a toggleable rate enhances their ability to pack together, increasing brain density and allowing for nerve healing in the case of damage. If significant damage is detected, the body redirects nutrients to expedite the healing process, assisting recovery from brain injuries and conditions such as spinal cord damage, thereby preventing or overcoming paralysis due to injury to specific nerves. Story 108. Not relying on a single airway for breathing, and not depending on oxygen or blood at all. Story 109. The human sinus is the greatest empirical evidence against both intelligent design and a loving God. That failure of biology is undergoing a complete redesign. Story 110. Weird in the sense that people wouldn't typically think of it. It could vastly improve how the body repairs the brain, making sleep no longer necessary. This process could help recover from injuries or enhance learning. For example, one could attend school, go home, and learn in one day what would normally take a week to absorb. However, metabolism and nutritional requirements would need to increase to keep up. Story 111. This isn't something I think of often, but I would definitely do it if it were in my power. Another pair of breasts on a woman's back. Game over right there. Story 112. A fully accurate and reliable health monitor that indicates whether you should call emergency services for any medical concern. It also delivers a shock if you make the call regardless. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.